Hey, it's Mark Leonard with your video thought for the day. Yes, we are in boat week. This is a week where I'm looking at various passages in the Bible that speak toward boats. And if you missed yesterday, you got to go back and get it. We did Noah's Ark and the actual little bulrushes of the basket that Moses was put in, because the word for ark is used there for the basket. But today we're looking at something else. We're looking at the ships of Tarshish. Now, Tarshish was a city up in Tyre, northern coastal city. And that was a trade center for that part of the Mediterranean world back in ancient Israel. Israel, on the other hand, they didn't have a navy. They didn't have a port, really. They sort of did during Solomon's reign, and they, Jehoshaphat tried to build some ships, but they sunk. The thing about the ocean is, because Israel was basically a landlocked country, ancient Israel, they were good at mountains and hills. They were good with crops. They were good with flocks of sheep and goats and things like that. But the sea was always a dangerous place, a place of chaos. It just wasn't anything that Israel had figured out how to use. Israel wasn't a seafaring people. And so ships of Tarshish became a phrase that Israel would use to refer to this great commercial activity. That the king of Tyre would have these incredible ships, and they were huge and so impressive, and they could carry trade throughout the Mediterranean world. And Israel was in awe of those, which makes passages like the one I want to talk to you about today a little bit more significant than you might have thought otherwise. I want to talk about Psalm 48. Now, Psalm 48 is one of these great psalms. It starts out praising God. It says, "Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised." But listen to what it says. "In the city of our God, his holy mountain." Doesn't say the Mediterranean Sea. It says his holy mountain. That's beautiful, verse 2 says, in elevation. It gets away from the water. God's holy city is beautiful in elevation. It's the joy of the earth. It is Mount Zion. That's all in verse 2. Then in verse 3 it says, "Within her citadels, God has made herself known." Now this is the psalm that talks about those who set themselves against God and his people. And those who set themselves against God and his people will come to naught. It says in verse 4 that all of the kings assemble themselves together, but when they realize who God is, they turn around and flee. It says that God takes the east wind, verse 7, and will shatter the ships of Tarshish. Remember, that represents the greatest commercial achievements and activities of humanity. But you can take the greatest that humans can come up with, and if you set it against God and God's purposes, God will win every time. And when we are God's people, this is something that should encourage us and not only bring us to praise God, like the psalm does, but bring us also to live with less fear and more faith. Because there is not a ship of Tarshish. There is not a commercial or strategic or venture or invention or purpose of any human that can come up against the purposes of God without being shattered by God. And that, my friend, is your video thought for the day.